Take two. So, growing up in my family, whether for an ordinary weeknight dinner or a large gathering, there was no separate children's table. We sat with the adults, shared the platters of food, and listened to their stories. Endless stories, time after time, meal after meal, year after year. We came to know those stories by heart, which was the point, really, to hold them in living memory, lest we forget who we are, where we came from, and what it cost to get here. I say that because as a family of immigrants and refugees, legal and illegal, my family mealtime stories were nearly always about the escape from the Armenian genocide and the dream of coming to America. And sometimes, around the busy table, amidst the energy and laughter and bits of singing, the whole table would grow quiet when particular details were recalled. Close relatives being rounded up in the dark of night, mothers and siblings sobbing while being separated, and secret plans to escape, sometimes with the help of strangers, hoping they could be trusted. My own father was given to one such stranger, an older woman who pledged to take him to Haleb, which is today Aleppo, and then north to Marseille, where she promised to get him on a ship to America. He made it to Ellis Island, and a page from that ship's passenger manifest hangs in an honored place in our home today. But no matter where my dad began his dinner table stories, he would always come to the moment where he first laid eyes on the Statue of Liberty. A 9-year-old boy alone on that boat, gazing at the lady with the lamp. And he would say, "I just wanted to reach out my hand and touch those robes. They looked so real." Years later, my brother and I took our families to visit the newly reopened Ellis Island site in the shadow of that same glorious statue. We watched our own children reach out their hands to touch their grandfather's name on the wall of memory. And as it happens, my son James at that time was the same age as my dad was when he arrived in this country. And with that, 2 9-year-old boys touched the memory of my immigrant father and the fingertips of my native son, alive and free today only because his grandfather was granted entry 80 years before. And he arrived in view of those famous words carved on the base of the statue, words that he could not yet read in English, but which he was experiencing firsthand. The poem of Emma Lazarus, the new Colossus. "Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door." The golden door. Or, as we are reminded in today's reading from Deuteronomy, he defends the cause of the fatherless and the widow, and he loves the foreigner residing among you, giving them food and clothing. And you are to love those who are foreigners, for you yourselves were foreigners in Egypt. Sadly, my sons never met their grandfather, but they grew up hearing me tell his stories time and time again, meal after meal, year after year. So they will hopefully not forget who they are, nor lose sight of what this country, at its truest and purest, offered our family and can still offer the world today. So as we close our weekend celebrations of Independence Day, you might appreciate why I so dearly wish that our national anthem could be changed from the Star-Spangled Banner to America the Beautiful, which Episcopalians know as the hymn Materna, and which we will sing at the close of this service today. O beautiful for patriot dreams that see beyond the years, thine alabaster cities gleam undimmed by human tears. America, America, God mend thy every flaw. Confirm thy soul in self-control, thy liberty in law. A dream so powerful, a possibility so splendid that a foreign mother facing genocide would dare turn over her precious firstborn into the hands of a stranger in the desperate hope that her boy would make it to America and her family ultimately survive. Thankfully, of course, for us, that immigrant boy got through. My dad settled in Brooklyn, started school, went to work, wore his country's uniform, opened a small store, got married, and raised a family. My father lived an immigrant's dream. His mother, my Grandma Rosie, eventually got across the border from Canada with no papers, along with her 2 younger sons. One of them, my Uncle Harry, became a US citizen only after he was drafted, sworn in on a US Army ship just before he reached Normandy for the D-Day invasions on Omaha Beach. And Grandma herself was sworn in some years later, on the very day I was born, 70 years ago, today. They all cherished and honored their American citizenship. They worked hard, contributed to their communities, never missed an election, and were unwavering card-carrying members of the old Republican Party. So I will say this. No one better look me in the face of our current state of national affairs and dismiss me as naive or hopelessly biased. We can, and we do, of course, differ on how we approach national issues. No problem there. But as a Christian family in this house, gathered around this table, hearing the sacred stories that we must never forget, I pray that we stand together in our gospel values. This is the only way to remember who we are and the new Colossus we are called to create. And there is nothing naive or hopeless about that. I say all of this today as the proud and grateful daughter of a man who, until his dying day, never forgot his wish to reach out and touch the garment of the lady with the lamp, a man who believed in a country that would never boast of might, but only aspire to good. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. This is for me so much more than a patriotic song. It is a heartfelt prayer to God, and I do wonder if it might not also just be God's heartfelt prayer for us. Amen.